Hey coaches, welcome back to the Football 101 course. So this is going to be part two. And in part two, I'm going to talk about what I would do in my part two of this program, which would be I would make it an overview of the football equipment. So all of the equipment that's necessary for a player to participate in American football. And I will go over this because, in my experience, if you're coaching a lot of kids who have never played football before, or even kids who have played football before, they might not necessarily know how to put on this equipment or why this equipment is important to take care of. And so I would want to go over it with them. Now, just a couple updates. So this is part two. I have uploaded some extra stuff for part one. So remember, part one was the level 0 vocabulary PowerPoint. And I also added, so there's another video that helps explain that PowerPoint and the materials there if you wanted to look at it. I have also recently added a quiz, an example of a quiz for the vocabulary. This is a quiz format that I've used in my both biology and earth science courses that I teach, and it seems to work pretty well. It's kind of a matching quiz, and I've given it to you. You can edit it however you want. You can add stuff to it, take away stuff, whatever you want. All of this stuff is free. All of it is available for you. And when somebody asked me why am I doing all this stuff for free, it's because I really don't like paying for football stuff in the first place. And this is really, I have a lot of coaches helping me out on this. So it's not just me. And so I just want to give back to everybody who's given so much to me already. And this is just a great sport. The coaching profession is just amazing. Now, also on that note, if you are not currently following Coach Kevin Swift, K-Dog Swift, on Twitter, I'm going to leave this up for a second. You need to start following him. All right? Coach Swift has been amazing with helping me out with this. I've been working with him as well, and he has been putting all of my files and materials on his coaching football coaching tool chest. And if you want access to that, it is a Google document or a Google Drive. If you would like to be shared access with that, you need to contact him on Twitter, shoot him an email, and he will give you access to it. It's completely free. There's amazing stuff. There's way more stuff on there than just my stuff. And so I would go ahead and do that first. If you are interested in just receiving stuff straight from me, I have made a Football 101 coaches mailing list, and so I need your email address so I can add you to that. So the best way you can get that is leave a comment on the blog, or direct message or DM me your email address, or get me your email address somehow and tell me that you want to be part of the Football 101 stuff. And all the stuff is free, and I just send you stuff. I promise I won't bombard your emails often. Whenever I get new stuff, I make new stuff, I will share it with you guys. So I'm going to get to the point here. So what I wanted to share with you today was the PowerPoint that I have created for part two, which is the equipment. Now, for me personally, part one was a little bit more, it is classroom intensive. It's a lot like teaching a regular kind of class. Part two, still classroom intensive. You're still in the classroom, but part two is going to be a lot of hands-on work. Okay? If I was doing this, what I would be doing is I would be bringing in all of these pieces of equipment that I'm going to be talking about. Probably bringing in multiple pieces because there's kids of multiple different sizes. If I'm bringing in a helmet, I'm going to bring in an extra large, I'm going to bring in a small, bring in a medium, just bring in all the different sizes. And I would bring in program-specific stuff. If your program has this stuff, bring it into the room so that they have a chance to look at it and play with it a little bit. Instead of a quiz at the end of this, I'll go over what I would like to do. So this is Football 101 Part 2, the equipment overview. So learning objectives. If you haven't seen it, I have put up I'm working on a course overview. When I say working, I put it on the Google Docs, and as I go, I'm updating it. And so I put all the learning targets of the whole course as I would teach it. Of course, you can do it however you want, but this is how I would do it. Learning target number 2, since this is part 2, is that the participants will be able to identify, understand, and describe equipment needed to participate in American football. I know it sounds wordy, but these are the types of learning targets and stuff that we use in school and teaching in Virginia. And so this is just how I would do it. This is what I'm used to. Who are we trying to reach? Players new to the sport, players new to your program, and then sometimes parents. If you have, some of you guys have the great idea of having the mom's night where you teach the moms everything they need to know about football. Might be a good idea to have them use this as well. Okay, so the first thing I would bring out is the helmet. That's probably the most important piece of equipment that they have is the football helmet. And you got to talk to them about why helmets are important, how they put on a helmet, have them practice putting on the helmet, talk to them about everything that's inside of the helmet, etc. The second piece of equipment I would talk to, and so the first couple slides here, these are safety equipment. I say these are the required pieces. These are the pieces that you can't play on Friday night without these pieces of equipment. Okay. So the mouthpiece. Mouthpiece is probably number 2 in my opinion. It protects your mouth. Now, these kids, sometimes they're like, well, it's not that important. I don't know why. If you really want to get their attention, show them videos of their superstar, their idols, telling them that these things are important. So, for example, there's a video on YouTube. I love using YouTube videos here, so I posted a couple of YouTube links on here. Kevin Love. Okay, there's a short, less than a minute video of Kevin Love saying why he thinks that all athletes should wear mouth guards. They see that. They see somebody like Kevin Love. They all know who Kevin Love is. Okay, and if they don't know who Kevin Love is, tell them to watch the NBA. All right, they see that kind of stuff. They'll be, oh, okay, maybe that's cool, and show them all the different types of mouthpieces and stuff. The next thing is I bring in a couple pairs of shoulder pads. Show them how to wear the shoulder pads. Show them there's this really good video about how these shoulder pads are supposed to fit. If it's too big, it's too big. If it's too small, it's too small. And these videos help show these kids what we're talking about. Next thing I would do, now this one's kind of a big one because there's lots of little pieces to it, the football pants. I was going to have slides for each individual piece, but I figured just one slide for the pants would do it. And there's a video here on how to put all of the pads into the pants, because this is probably, besides dealing with shoulder pads, was probably the number 1 piece of equipment that I had to deal with. Our kids kept losing the belt. Our kids kept losing hip pads, and the butt pads, tail pads, whatever you call them. They didn't know how to put the pads in. And so this was halfway through the season, and most kids still didn't know how to put pads in. They were just asking each other to put them in for them. And so we literally sat everybody down and forced them to show us if they knew how to do the correct way to put pads in the pants. And those kids who didn't, we had a little get together where we just taught them how to do it. And so this is something that you might want to do early on in the season. Cleats. You have to tell them the difference between soccer cleats and football cleats. There are differences. Some people might be able to play football in soccer cleats and vice versa, but there's each state has different rules about what cleats you can use and what cleats you can't use, and all these other things. So you need to know that. The kids need to know that as well. And I had issues with this because I teach and coach at a school that has 65% free or reduced lunch, and so these are kids who can't always go out and afford brand new cleats. And these are kids who you can't really tell them, oh, they have to be a certain color, they have to be a certain brand or something like that, because they might not be able to afford that. And in my personal opinion, I really don't give a crap. I know a lot of coaches out there, I'm going to go on a rant here, a lot of coaches out there want every kid to look the same because you're a team, and I understand that, but you also kind of have to give them a little leeway. These are kids, they just can't afford this stuff. Not all of them. And so if it's something that they can't afford, you really shouldn't force them to have to do this. I know some coaches are going to disagree, but that's just my personal opinion. And so play the video, show them like what they should have in their cleats, and Safety equipment. The last piece of safety equipment. Now I know not every coach requires this. Personally, I would require it. I have this really. This is a very funny video about a kid getting like slammed in the nuts by somebody else's helmet and just lying there for about 5 minutes, and they just keep showing it and showing it. The kids will love it. You got to have fun with this too. You know, they're trying to learn, but you got to have a little bit of fun with this. I would require a cup, especially of my linemen. Um, those guys who are going to be in the trenches, in the trench warfare, stuff gets dirty. All right, you got to have a cup. You know, when I was a kid, I hated wearing cups because they were so bulky and I couldn't run. They make cups nowadays that are just way better. So I would require the cup. That's up to you guys. Personally, I would require it. Now, what I would do after talking about the required stuff is I would quickly go over the optional equipment, the non-required stuff. This is stuff that you don't have to play. You know, stuff like a visor on a football helmet. You know, some people are gonna get mad at me. You don't have to have gloves to be a good football player. You know, I've had kids who are wide receivers who get upset when they don't have their gloves, and I'm like, just go out there and learn how to catch without a glove. You're not always gonna have gloves. You know, you can catch a football without wearing gloves. Oh, coach, I need my gloves. They make me work better. No, they don't make you any better. Back plates. You know, look into the rules. You know, I've heard some places don't allow back plates. I know they can't be visible. They have to be under the jersey in Virginia. We had some issues with kids bringing in back plates, and like they would tie it onto their shoulder pads using zip ties, or they would literally bring in, you know, those little twist ties that they have for bags of bread. They would come in and tie them to that, and I was just like, kid, really? Whatever. Rib protectors is another one that we've talked about, and girdles. Now, some programs are able to afford girdles that they can give to the kids, and if you are able to do that, that's great. You won't even have to worry about the pads in the pants. That's great, but not everybody can. My school, we don't have girdles, so we have the old school pads. And so that's basically it. I think this is the last slide. Yes, this is the last slide. So the way I would do this, I would teach this stuff. We would show them all these pieces of equipment. They'd handle all the pieces of equipment. And then maybe the next day or right after, I would have them do a comprehensive quiz where I would get all the kids out of the room, do it one kid at a time. And I would be like, okay, show me how you're supposed to put on a helmet. Show me how you're supposed to put these pads in the pants. Show me how you're supposed to put on your shoulder pads, etc. And so they have to physically show me that they are able to do it. And if they aren't able to do it, I would have them come in and do it again. And we'd talk about it over again until they are physically able to do it. Over and over, repetition, guys, repetition. All right, so I'm going to get out of here because I only have a couple minutes left on this recorder. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me, whatever you need to do. These resources are free for you. I don't have a quiz or a worksheet or anything for this part. It's just a PowerPoint. And so, you know, any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I'm always looking to collaborate, so if you have extra stuff, I will put it on the file and I will share it out with everybody. I love doing that. And so just want you guys to best wishes. Okay? Best wishes.